preamble to the Australian Constitution doesn't tell a lot that's aspirational, that as a country we aspire to. It doesn't tell much about the history. It doesn't really describe the main ideas of the Constitution. It doesn't articulate aims and values or the beliefs of people. All it says is we want to come together and not to be able to dissolve this nation. So many have said that the main points of a preamble aren't really covered, and therefore we want to change the preamble. John Howard in 1999, John Howard was the Australian Prime Minister at this time. He felt very strongly that there should be a new preamble, and so he got together to write one. He got Les Murray, who is a very famous Australian poet, and the two of them came together with a historian to form this preamble. With hope in God, the Commonwealth of Australia is constituted by the equal sovereignty of all its citizens. The Australian nation is woven together of people from many ancestries and arrivals. Our vast island continent has helped to shape the destiny of our Commonwealth and the spirit of its people. Since time immemorial, our land has been inhabited by Aborigines and Torres Strait Islanders, who are honoured for their ancient and continuing cultures. In every generation, immigrants have brought great enrichment to our national life. Australians are free to be proud of their country and heritage, free to realise themselves as individuals, and free to pursue their hopes and ideals. We value excellence as well as fairness, independence as dearly as mateship. Australia's democratic and federal system of government exists under law to preserve and protect all Australians with equal dignity, which may never be infringed by prejudice or fashion or ideology, nor invoked against achievement. In this spirit, we, the Australian people, commit ourselves to this Constitution. It has very poetic flair, and it came under criticism. Some of the things woven together, well, you can't have something woven apart, and so they were critical that this is too poetic. It's unnecessary. Women and feminist groups complained about mateship being an Australian value because mateship is predominantly male. It was praised of the mention of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, but it was argued that it didn't go far enough and it needed to give more rights and more acknowledgement as the first peoples, not just honouring their culture, but stating clearly that they are the first peoples and that they have a role and a culture to play. So it was criticised under a number of things, and as a result, it was not put to the vote. Instead, it was changed. And in 1999, a referendum occurred, which means that the only way we can change our constitution is by it being approved by two houses of parliament and then put to the people under what's called a double majority. And we'll explain that later on. But here, with hope in God, the Commonwealth of Australia is constituted as a democracy with federal system of government to serve a common good. We, the Australian people, commit ourselves to this constitution, proud that as a unity it has been forged by Australians from many ancestries, never forgetting the sacrifices of all who defended our country and our liberty in time of war, upholding freedom, tolerance, individual dignity and the rule of law, honouring Aborigines and Torres Strait Islanders, the nation's first people, for their deep kinship with their lands and for their ancient and continuing cultures, which enrich the life of our country, recognising the nation-building contribution of generations of immigrants, mindful of our responsibility to protect our unique natural environment, supportive of achievement as well as equality of opportunity for all, and valuing independence as dearly as the national spirit which binds us together in both adversity and success. You can see that John Howard's original version has been changed, and some of the things that I pointed out have been removed or tweaked. Here, the Aboriginals are recognised as the nation's first people. This was put to the people in 1999. Shall we change our preamble to this? And as a nation, we voted no. You will need to write a preamble. We would like you to draft a preamble for Australia. And so we would like you to know, who does this constitution represent? What's the source of authority? How did it come into being? The history. What is setting it up? The system. What does the constitution hope to achieve? What does it say about democracy? And what does it say about the people of the nation? Those are the main points that are recognised as things that need to be covered in a preamble. So let's talk about changing our constitution. If we want to change our constitution, point 1, a proposed change must be approved by the Parliament and then put to the Australian voters in a referendum. A referendum is the technical word for everybody in the country votes on the issue. Now, point 2, a referendum is only passed if it is approved by a majority of voters in a majority of states. We have to have simple majorities above 50% of the people voting yes in a majority of states and by a majority of voters across the nation. So you have to have a double majority. You have to have everyone across the nation, it has to be above 50%, and a majority of the states, people have to be voting above 50%. So in thinking about what's important in a preamble to our constitution, we must make sure we're looking at all those points and we've thought through the issues of what we want the country to look like.